Good morning. I'm Jeff Exler. I'm attempting to do a Facebook Live with some new software that we have here, so bear with me. Hopefully this is working okay, and I'll try to read the comment section if it's not working okay here. Let's see if we can get that up on the other screen. So I'm doing a couple things here at once. It looks like we're up, so if anyone has any comments, feel free. But I just want to bring up to date with the tropics as they are getting quite active. Of course, we have Hurricane Irma, which is the player here, which can influence not only the weather in the southeastern United States, but possibly even our weather as we head into next week, as it makes as it goes in a direction like that. Tropical Storm Katia is expected to move into Mexico. It is not going to move northward into Texas or the Gulf of, well, it is in the Gulf of Mexico, but it's going to move into Mexico and not affect the United States. So that will not affect the Houston area, which was hit very hard with Harvey. And on the heels of Irma, there is Tropical Storm Jose, which is going to be following somewhat of a similar path. In fact, Tropical Storm Jose is expected to become a hurricane very shortly. It's very close to being a hurricane strength. I'm trying to follow with the comments here. Hopefully, if anyone's having problems, to see a few people here saying, let's see, Dixie saying good morning. Good morning, Dixie. And if you have any audio issues or can't hear very well, just please let me know, because this is the first time I'm attempting this on this software. So this is an up-close look at Hurricane Irma, a visible, GOES 16 visible satellite, and just an amazing structure. Now, these hurricanes are very destructive in nature, but if you look at them from outer space, like on these satellites, the structure of them is very beautiful. And if you look in the inside of the eye, you can actually see these vortices, multiple vortices, just spinning around that eye. And now this hurricane passed over St. Martin, gave it a direct hit this morning. I saw some video and images coming out of the St. Martin area, and it looked devastating. A lot of storm surge, a lot of wind damage in that area. And St. Martin is, I'm not sure if you can see where my little cursor is, but it's that little island right there. That is St. Martin. Now, it is moving towards the east. Notice the eye of the hurricane is going to be passing to the north of Puerto Rico, it's moving towards the northwest. So west-northwest is the direction. So the brunt of the storm, the center of the storm, will be passing north of Puerto Rico, but they're still going to have some impacts from this storm. So, okay, where is it headed? Where is it at right now? There's to give you an idea. The Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Still a Category 5 storm. Winds at 185 miles per hour. The pressure is 918 millibars. 65 miles east-southeast of St. Thomas. And I'll see if I can come on over and look at some of the comments. Sandra is saying audio is fine. Oh, that's good. Okay, good. We got the audio fine. That's a plus. So there's a look at Hurricane Irma right now and where it's at. And the question is, where is it headed? And of course, when you get out into time, the uncertainty becomes any forecast. You know, if you're talking about a winter forecast around here, the further you get out in time, the certainty of that forecast becoming true is not always, 100%. So the further you go out in time, you're going to run into issues. Now, this is a spaghetti plot, and I've seen memes of these all over the place where people, will say this is where it's going to hit, and it has all these squiggly lines all across the United States. Well, spaghetti plots we call them spaghetti plots because they look like spaghetti almost. There's all these little lines, almost like noodles, on the map. Now, each one of these are a particular model. And what you look for in this scenario, and notice they're not really all over the place. A lot of them, what you're looking for is where they're concentrated. And they're concentrated now in this area. The track has shifted to the east of Florida. Instead of coming into Florida, it looks like it's going to parallel the east coast of Florida. Now, the center may be staying offshore. So where you get these all bunched up like this is some higher confidence. This is the direction that we're looking for over the next few days. So I have a little bit of a squiggly mess on there. Let's see if I can back this up for you a little bit. Let's see. There we go. Well, I think I went too far. But there again, there is Irma, and there's Puerto Rico. and there's the Virgin Islands. And again, the center is going to move to the north of Puerto Rico. And if we look at that west-northwest movement with our spaghetti plots again, see how they're, for the most part, and there's an outlier going this way, but the most part they're going through the Bahamas over towards Freeport and then up the coast, east coast of Florida, staying offshore, and maybe having a landfall in the Carolinas now. So we'll see this maybe wiggle back and forth in the days ahead, but anyone from Miami, Key West, Miami up and through the Carolinas is fair game for this one as it's making that turn. Now the question also is going to be, what is the intensity of the hurricane? It's a very strong Category 5 now, but once it moves into this area, is it going to be that strong? That is uncertain as well. So it's not only where it's going, but how strong it's going to be. And this is the European model, which shows you, and there's the clock up at the top, Sunday at noon, which shows you it's very close to Miami. And that's the reason why the NFL canceled that game for Sunday, and good reason. I mean, they're going to have a hurricane very close to Miami, if not a little bit offshore. And the European model just takes that storm right into South Carolina Monday night. Notice that's around 11 o'clock at night. So Sunday at noon, Florida, Miami, Florida, and then coming up the coast, maybe Monday as you head into the Carolinas. Then it will continue to lift northward. Then the next question is, especially for folks around here, are we going to feel the influence of Irma, and how are we going to feel it? So if we take this track, and again, we're looking out here way into the future, next Tuesday, that would be close enough for us to get some rain and pick up the wind if this thing continues to track to the north. And some of the models have it just going basically right on top of us. Now, it would be moving fast. The models are also printing out rainfall amounts, which don't look all that impressive right now, but it's something we'll be watching. This is the European model Tuesday into Wednesday, and you can see the rain amounts where you get this orange yellow color here. This is over 4 inches of rain, and that would be across the Carolinas and much of Florida, especially the eastern half of Florida. So this is where there's going to be 4+ inches of rain, maybe some places 10-12 inches of rain in this area. So this is where there's going to be flooding into the Carolinas. Then you get in that purple shading, or the red shading is 2.5 to 4 inches. Purple shading is 1.5 to 2 inches. And then that blue shading is 0.5 to 1.5 inches of rain. And right now, that's where we're situated. If that occurs, and that's a big if, that wouldn't lead to too many issues here. If we got 0.5 inch to 1.5 inches of rain, it would be fast moving, in, out, we'd get a rainy day, and that would be it. None of the models suggesting that this thing lingers across the area. That would be something to watch out for as well. But that's just an early look at what can happen. Is this going to happen? I'd be very surprised if this exact scenario plays out as we head into early next week. But the trend has been with this storm, and I can go back here a little bit to some of these to show you. The trend has been for the turn to come up more so the east coast of Florida versus Florida itself. Or come to the west coast of Florida. So the trend is, I could draw a line on here for you, is for the hurricane to move in this sort of direction and then maybe make landfall in the Carolinas early next week. Question is, what intensity is it going to be once it gets up in this area as well? That's a question, big question. But anyone from Florida, because Florida's not going to be out of the woods, even though the eye may not make a direct landfall, they're still going to feel the effects of wind and rain. So, but that's the latest trends with this. Let me go back to the other screen here, see if anyone has any questions. Jeff, how many days' notice would residents in the Ohio Valley have to prepare for the remnants of a hurricane if decides to track? Let's see. That just sort of went away. I wonder if I could get all those posts on there at once. But how many days, the question is how many days advance notice? Well, by the weekend, we would have some advance notice. Now, again, what I just showed you, we could have this move in. That necessarily doesn't mean we're going to have flooding, but we would give you advance notice by at least a couple of days that this would be moving in. But just because we get the remnants, we had remnants of a tropical system just a couple of days ago with Harvey, and it did not give us any issues whatsoever. And a lot of people fresh in the mind and rightfully so, is Ivan. And although it has occurred now, it's been over 10 years. It was 2004, but a lot of people forget that, we remember Ivan, or Ivan 2004. I hear that a lot, but a lot of people forget that Francis was another tropical system that dumped a lot of rain on our area exactly 1 week before Ivan hit. So Francis saturated the grounds, Ivan came, put us over the top. So it was really in 2004 a combination of two tropical systems that gave us all that flooding. So, it's just, I just think a lot of folks think, okay, tropical storm, hurricane remnants, it's going to be Ivan. They're not all the same. You're comparing apples and oranges here, and we're not having two back-to-back heavy rainmakers like we did in 2004. So that's something to keep in mind. But, we could definitely feel the effects of it to be around Tuesday of next week into Wednesday of next week. That's the way, it's trending at this time. So let me see if we have any other questions here. See everyone else, what's going on? Northwest is fine. Texas are flooded. Yes, Texas is flooded, so we don't want this thing anywhere near Texas. I wish I could expand this view and look at all the other, there's probably a way to do so here. Let me see if I click on it to look at all the other. Why aren't they doing evacuations out since tropical storm winds may hit Florida Friday? Why are they waiting? Wouldn't it be better to evacuate now? Teresa, I don't have all those answers. Now, they're evacuated the Keys, Teresa, mainly because there's only one way in and out of the Keys, primarily, unless you're airplane, but that would be by boat or by train. I think there's a little bit. So there's only one road in and out of the Keys, so they evacuated the Keys. The problem is you can't evacuate the entire state of Florida. It's just, you just can't evacuate an entire state like that. So right now, the areas where, there's only one road in and out, and that would be the Keys. And those barrier islands, of course, those places would be evacuated first. But again, you're still several days out. Sunday, it's Wednesday. We're looking at the influences of maybe tropical storm winds, hurricane winds in the Florida area this weekend. So there's still time for that. And it may not even make a direct landfall in Florida, although they will feel the effects. Again, the latest trends would be get close to Miami and then come up the coast and then make landfall towards Hilton Head, Charleston, South Carolina, somewhere in that area. That would be Monday, early next week. And then possibly we could feel the effects of it on Tuesday. But as I mentioned, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to have flooding issues, because the models are suggesting that we're not going to see a ton of rain out of it. It would be pretty fast moving. If this thing were to slow down on top of us, that could create problems. But if it moves in, gives us a rainy day, and moves out, then we won't have too many issues. It's been actually fairly dry around here of late. I know much of the summer was very wet, but we dried out late in the summer here into early fall. With the current European model projections of a ½ inch to 1.5 inches of rain in our local area, that would not cause any problems. But again, a lot of that is going to depend on how fast the thing moves through here and how it's moving on in. So that is not set in stone. This is just an early outlook of what to expect as we move forward here, taking a look at Irma. And looking at our local weather, we're not going to have a whole lot going on outside of a couple stray showers next few days. Big story is going to be the temperatures in the 60s. We'll be pretty close to 70 today and Saturday, probably falling a degree or two shy in the upper 60s. But I'll have to take a look at the last time we had 4 days in a row with highs in the 60s, probably almost a year ago, last September. Beautiful weather this weekend locally. It's going to be cool and crisp, temperatures in the 40s in the morning, sunshine near 70 in the afternoon, so some fantastic weather over the weekend. And again, if we feel any effects from Irma, that would be early next week, probably around Tuesday of next week. First we'd see some clouds Monday, and then maybe some breezy wet conditions into Tuesday. Thinking right now is we get the rain in Tuesday, moving out Wednesday, and as long as it moves in and out like that, it shouldn't cause too many issues. But we'll continue to watch Hurricane Irma and all the tropics as well. I'll have an updated outlook, preparing that for News 9 midday. Just wanted to test out this Facebook Live. Hopefully I was able to answer some questions. I'll go back and take a look and try to type out some questions if I missed any, because I'm unable to, it's sort of a weird way to do this, but I'm unable to look at the Facebook feed. It's on a different computer, a couple screens away, so really, it's hard for me to go back and forth, I guess, between the two. So that's the way that's worked. But just wanted to test this out. So if it seemed to work okay, as long as it seemed to work okay, I'll use this again for severe weather situations that we could do some Facebook Lives, or in the winter time maybe talk about some snowstorms or anything heading our way. So I just wanted to give this a test, and hopefully it worked okay. Everyone have a great Wednesday. Keep on thinking if it's Tuesday, but it is Wednesday, and I'll see you on News 9 midday.